My family and I have always had a tough life financially. My parents lived paycheck to paycheck and we never had luxuries. Hell, we never even had necessities. So I knew early on that in order to be able to live the kind of life I wanted, I needed to earn money. And for that, I needed to work hard. My sister Selena, female 30, however, could never develop that kind of work ethic. I think in families, kids either turn out exactly like their parents or the complete opposite. There is no middle ground. Selena is like my parents, and I could see the kind of life they lived and knew that I did not want that for myself. So I am the complete opposite. My dad, 55, male, worked many jobs in his life. He went to community college but left his degree halfway and never even tried to finish it. My mother, on the other hand, was always in and out of a job. She was lazy, and I still remember her not even turning up for work half the time when I was a kid. So she was thrown out. In my memory, the maximum time that she has been able to hold down a job has been 6 to 8 months. After that, it was always her sitting at home and cribbing and complaining about how unfair her employers were. So, yeah, things were tough. Selena was used to this life, or rather, she had accepted that this was how things were going to be and that this was normal. So she never endeavored to change things. I, on the other hand, was the complete opposite. I knew that I wanted things, and I also knew that I couldn't rely on my parents to get them. They couldn't even afford to feed us at times, and I hated living like that. So at 14, I picked up a job. It was not a job as such, but I would babysit the neighbors' kids for some money. It was easy cash for me at the time, but instead of me using it for myself, my parents would take the money for the house. And within a year, they got used to me bringing in the money. My mother never worked a day after I turned 14. My dad used to take all the money that I got from babysitting, and I really don't know what he did with it. He said that he was using it to feed the family, and I think there was some truth to what he said because we never slept hungry after that. However, in hindsight, that money was mine, and it should not have been my responsibility to provide for them. Yet, at that point in time, I did not know all this, which is why I never said a word. By the time I turned 16, I had started getting mad at them. So what I did was I used to lie about my earnings. If I was getting $9 an hour, I would say I just got 7 and save some money for myself. And strangely, even though I was 2 years younger than Selena, there was never any expectation for her to get a job and earn money. Needless to say, neither Selena nor I went to college. She picked up a job as a cashier and I stayed around till I was 21. I had actually wanted to move out at 18 and do my own thing, but my parents guilt tripped me by saying that they couldn't afford rent and utilities without my help. I didn't want to, but at that point I felt like I had no other option other than staying back. I stayed till I was 21 and spent all my days babysitting kids. I had become quite a celebrity babysitter in my town, if I may say so myself. I had had long years of experience by then, and because I come from a close-knit city, people knew about me. There were times when I had to say no to families, or some families would fight with each other and offer me more money to babysit their kids and choose them. So all this name and fame meant cash. And to no one's surprise, I could never see most of this cash for myself because my father used to take it all. However, bit by bit, I made my savings. I used to ask families to keep some money with themselves and that I would collect it from them later. Some I used to hide at home and some at a friend's place, and by that time I had enough in my savings to last me a couple of months while I did a nail tech course, which was what I had been wanting to do for a long time. I moved out, and there was a huge fight at home about this. I knew it would boil down to a fight because their cash cow was leaving. They didn't have anyone else to exploit anymore. They were so used to my money, they thought that they would always have it and that I would never grow a spine to either say something or leave. But I proved them wrong, and there was nothing they could do about it. I was called a lot of names, and everyone accused me of abandoning the family. One major reason for me moving out was that even Selena had stopped working. She got fired from her place. She was 23 at that time and had been working the same job for 4 years. She was caught stealing supplies from the store and was fired immediately. Dad had to go to beg the manager to not file a report against her, and it was a huge drama that happened. Once she was fired, she just stopped looking for other jobs. Dad tried to egg her to pick up some slack, but she didn't listen. It was as though she had morphed into Mom. Both of them behaved as if someone was secretly giving us some money. And then Dad started pressuring me to do more shifts, get more clients and whatnot. And by that time, I had completely burnt out. I had been babysitting children for close to 7 years, and I didn't want to rot and die cleaning the shit and snot of hell spawns that weren't my own. I knew that I couldn't continue in this any longer. And I had saved enough to be able to take a break and look at courses, but then Dad started pressuring me into working more, and I knew that the only way out of these expectations was to leave home. I did some calculations and realized that with the savings I had, I could sustain myself for a couple of months. I took out a loan for course fees and told them I was leaving. That was the last time that I spoke to Mom and Dad. They were yelling at me, calling me every name under the sun, saying things like I deserved to die because I was abandoning family, and if I was in fact this selfish, they would never have space for me in the house ever again. Of course, it stung like a bitch and it felt very bad, but I somehow powered through and left home. And I can proudly say that that was one of the best decisions I have ever made in my life. Once I was out of the house and living and navigating life on my own, I realized how stressful it had been to live in that place. I was under constant stress about how the bills were going to be paid, who was going to leave their job next, and all that. Moreover, added to this was the fact that I had little to no financial freedom. I had to give all the money to my dad for household expenses. All the savings that I did have were actually done in secret. Had Dad known that I had money stashed away, he would have taken that as well. I think that a major reason why Dad wanted to control every penny I made was because he never wanted me to become so financially independent that I would leave the house. Financially, I was the only one helping him out, and if I left, he would have had to shoulder the burden alone. And to be honest, that isn't really my problem. Mom and Selena can work. They just choose not to, out of their own accord, and that is not a problem that is mine. If he can get on my ass and yell at me and control me, he's free to do the same with his wife and his golden child. It has been 7 years since I left home, and I have never been happier. Of course, I still miss them sometimes. The holidays are lonely, especially when I see friends celebrate them with their family, while I sit alone in my apartment with a mug of cocoa. But this is the price I pay for freedom, I guess, both financially and emotional, so it is what it is. Today, however, has been a hell of a day. I had never anticipated that something like this could occur, and now that it has, I really don't know what to do or say. I get a call sometime before noon from a man named Rob. He claimed to be Selena's husband and said that he had something very important that he had to share with me. That caught me off guard completely because I had no idea that Selena was married. I immediately opened Instagram to check if I could find out, and I could see that she had posted pictures of her wedding. Hers is an open account. Rob said that he didn't have much time and that I had to listen very carefully. He said that I needed to check if my parents were charging money on my credit cards because they had spent a huge amount of money for his wedding to Selena, and he always thought it was family money. But he saw her texts, and in there She was talking to Mom about how they managed to pull it off without me ever knowing. He told me that he tried to confront her when he found out, but she denied the allegations tooth and nail. He still felt very uncomfortable about everything, which is why he tried to find my information and get in touch with me directly. I thanked him for his help, but at that point I was still skeptical about what he was saying, and I didn't really believe him. I told him that I had no way of determining whether what he was saying was true or not, and that if he could send me some kind of proof, that would be helpful. He disconnected the call. I thought it was some kind of scam and didn't think much of it, but half an hour later, he sent me photos of him and Selena together and Selena's chats with Mom. In those screenshots, it was implied that they were somehow scamming me and taking money, but I couldn't for the life of me realize or understand how they were doing it. I called up the bank and made a check for my cards. I have two credit cards I use, and they didn't show any strange or unaccounted financial transactions. However, they then told me that there was a third card in my name, and there had been significant payments from that one. I asked them to fetch me the details of the same. I had an inkling that these guys might have gotten a new card issued in my name. But the date of issuance was 7 years ago, and that's when it struck me. I had gotten my first credit card at 21, when I was looking at options to move out and hadn't told my parents that I would be doing this. I had applied for a card. However, while packing and moving, I had to do it in a hurry because Dad had practically thrown me out of the house. I had lost my card. At least, that is what I had believed all these years, and then I forgot about it. Never in my life had I imagined that my own family would use my card to fund an extravagant wedding for Selena. We had lived difficult lives, all of us, and now suddenly, God knows why, they had to put up this entire show of being so wealthy and whatnot for Selena. I asked the bank to block my card and went straight to the police station to file a complaint. I was contemplating whether to give the police all the information, Rob's call, screenshots, etc. One part of me was unsure whether the guy who called me was genuinely Selena's husband or not, which is why I didn't want to risk it. Moreover, the screenshots could be doctored as well. On the other hand, there had been some sort of fraud, and I believe that being transparent with the police at the outset would save me a lot of trouble later on. So I just told them everything. I told them that I had applied for a card at 21 and then I had lost it, and that I had not been making transactions, but there were huge overcharges on the same. The police asked me if I suspected anyone, and I relayed the entire story in short to them, and they took my complaint and sent me back. I had no idea that the police would be so swift about this. In the evening, I get a call from another unknown number. I thought that it could be the police station or maybe even Rob. It was neither. It was my mom. I don't even know how in the hell they keep getting my number so easily. She didn't even say hi and started hollering on the phone. It was such a pain to the ears. She told me that I was ruining their lives and even Selena's by meddling for no reason. She kept on spouting shit about how they're going to go to jail all because I was a greedy little bitch who couldn't help them out. I told her that what they did was not help, it was stealing, and that if they really needed financial help, they could have called me. If she had my number all this while, and it was so easy for her to call me today, she could have done it when they had the need for money. She said that I forced them to take money that way because I had left them practically destitute, knowing fully well that Dad couldn't manage expenses on his own. I told her to eat shit because I was not going to withdraw the complaint, especially with this attitude. I told her I knew she had called me to intimidate or blackmail me into withdrawing the complaint, but that was not happening. That's when the waterworks started. She started sobbing on the phone, saying that I will ruin them. I couldn't help but laugh. I told her that even this was not going to work and that she can go to hell for all I care. So yeah, this has been my day, and now my head is pounding and I don't know what to do. I know for sure that I'm not going to take back the complaint. They have raked over $100,000 in debt, and I can't screw my credit and slave my entire life trying to bring it under control. They might have had their reasons for what they did, but they didn't ask me for the money, and that is stealing. I don't know which of the three are going to go to jail, and I secretly hope that all three do. I don't know what's going to happen, but all I can do is pray that they don't screw my life even further. Update 1. Hello again. I had not anticipated that I might have to update because to me it was kind of an open and shut thing. But that wasn't apparently so. It has been 2 weeks since I lodged a complaint with the police, and I had absolutely no idea about what was happening behind the scenes the entire time. I had done my work from my end, and I knew better than to try and poke and find out what happened. Rob called me last night. It was the same number with which he had called the last time. He said that he wanted to meet me and that he wanted to clarify some things with me. It felt really weird because I didn't even know the guy, and it could actually have been somebody else instead of Selena's husband. But I also knew what I did because of his intervention. God knows what else my parents could have done if given the opportunity, so I didn't really know how to say no to meeting him. I didn't particularly want to, but I decided to go anyway. I asked him if Selena would be there, and he said no, and that she didn't know that he was meeting me. The way he said it made it sound so sneaky, as if we were having an affair, but I had nothing to lose, so I went. We met for breakfast today, and what he told me just swept me off my feet. My parents and my sister are much worse than what I had imagined, and I am glad that I went forward with the complaint and didn't give in to their emotional manipulation. It would have been an absolute disaster otherwise. Rob told me that he met Selena in a museum. I was gawking at him because Selena and museum were two things that I never thought I would hear in a sentence. He read my expression and started laughing and said I needed to wait for the juicy details. So apparently they met there and hit it off and started dating soon after. He comes from a very distinguished family. Can't name them, they're semi-famous. He says he was smitten by her very soon and things happened fast. Within 6 months they were engaged. However, he said that whenever he asked her about her family, she said that she was low contact with them. Finally, he said he insisted that he meet her parents. He didn't even know she had a sister. They met for dinner once and things seemed normal to him. He said that as an apology, Mom and Dad offered to fund Selena's entire wedding and she jumped on the opportunity. I asked him if he ever went to their place, and that last I knew they were living in a run-down place that would have obviously proven to him that she was putting up a show of being elite and classy. He said he only ever went to her apartment and not to her parents' house. They got married and Mom and Dad gave her $80,000 for the wedding. It was an exorbitant sum, and he said that he was too infatuated to understand anything, and he also had no reason to doubt anyone. However, her behavior began to change after they had gotten married. She was back in touch with her parents a lot, and that seemed to weird him out because, according to her, they had been kind of estranged for the longest time. Basically, it was this that made him suspicious of her, but he didn't really do anything about it. What finally made him realize that he had been duped happened unintentionally. His friend had come over from a different city and they had made plans to enjoy and chill. Selena knew that he would be with his friend. The friend had booked an Airbnb for the night, and soon enough Rob realized that the Airbnb was the same flat as Selena's. He thought that maybe the owner had stopped renting it out permanently as an apartment once Selena had left. But coincidentally, the landlord was there the next day. Rob asked him why he had decided to switch from permanent tenancy to Airbnb, and the landlord said that it had always been an Airbnb. That's when Rob realized she may have been lying about everything to get him to marry her. He went down a deep rabbit hole trying to find out the truth. He hired a private investigator, checked her phone, mails, calls, everything that he could possibly keep a tab on, and the truth was finally revealed. Selena and our parents were in on the entire thing. They knew that the only way to elevate their lives was to get Selena to marry someone rich. So she spent some money on grooming, on clothes. She basically pulled off an Anna Delvey and went on a prowl to scout for rich husbands. Rob caught the bait and was fooled. The entire plan all the time was to pretend that she was estranged from her parents so that the man and his family wouldn't push for a meeting. And then, as a reconciliatory offer, my parents would offer to fund her wedding using my money. Rob said that the moment he found out that the money was mine, he felt that the right thing to do would be to let me know. I asked him what had happened to my parents and Selena. He said that he once wanted to confirm our childhood with me. He hadn't told her yet that he knew everything. Selena was still pretending that she didn't know that Mom and Dad had stolen my money. He wanted to be doubly sure before deciding to divorce her. I told him what our life was like and what our childhood was like. I told him that it had been 7 years since I had spoken to anyone in the family, so there could be a possibility that some differences had arisen between them. I told him that I had no new input to give him, but from what I knew, which wasn't much, Selena not being in on this was quite unlikely. He thanked me and said he might get in touch with me if he needed any help, and that was that. Ever since I have come back, my head has been reeling. Not only is my family full of thieves, they're also frauds, and they dupe people in order to better their lives. When I left, they weren't immoral. It's a complete shame what laziness and lack of enterprise will make someone do. I can't believe these people would end up like this, and I am glad I have nothing to do with them anymore. Update 2. Life has been quite uneventful the past month, and I didn't feel the need to update until today. It had come to my notice that both Mom and Dad were in jail for financial fraud. I was kind of anticipating it, so I didn't particularly post that. However, I got 2 calls today, one from my dear sister. It was an unknown number. I received it, and she was on the other end calling me a homewrecker. I knew then that shit had gone south. I just disconnected the call and blocked her. I don't want that drama anymore. The second call was from Rob. He said that he had filed for divorce, and he had also told Selena that he had met me. He thanked me for helping him out, and I thanked him for alerting me to whatever the hell was happening in the house. However, what he said next genuinely caught me off guard. He said that he was coming to my city 2 weeks from now, and if it wasn't a problem with me, he would like to take me out for dinner. I was caught off guard. I told him that I might not be free and that I would look at my schedule and let him know in a week. I lied through my teeth. I am free. But I still feel weird. He is my sister's ex-husband, and I might be estranged from her, but she is still my sister. I think it isn't right to be with him or see any sort of potential in him. Moreover, he seems too quick to move on. He has just filed for divorce, and now he wants to take me out to dinner? I don't know. Seems weird and fishy to me, as if he's looking for some kind of rebound or replacement Selena, and I am neither. I'm really confused about what I should do. I also feel that if I do go, maybe the part where Selena called me a homewrecker will become true. I don't want to be a homewrecker. It's a mess, and I don't know what to do. Update 3. I read all your comments, and some of them were quite nasty. Some were negative, while others were optimistic. But ultimately, one comment stayed with me that told me I should give Rob a fair chance, and also myself. So I'm currently on my way to my first date with him. I'm going to make it clear at the outset that if he's looking for a rebound or a replacement, I am not the right person. I don't want a situation where things get ugly between us. I don't know why I'm nervous, and I hope he understands where I'm coming from. If he does, that's amazing, and if he doesn't, at least I got a good dinner out of it. Update 4. This will be my last update. The date was amazing. I was upfront with him about everything, and I told him that the speed with which he was moving felt as though he was doing it either to slight Selena, or to find a replacement for her, both of which are not okay with me. He said he would take it slow if that was what I wanted, and that he did not have bad intentions. We spoke the entire night talking about different things, and I like him too. But we have decided to take things slow, get to know each other, and see where things go. He says that he has already made the mistake of making quick decisions with little thought, and he doesn't want that to translate into his life again. All in all, life can surprise you in many ways, and we just need to be open to new experiences and people. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.